In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this really small, cute little Easter basket. Although you can use it for something other than Easter, I've just sewed on a little bunny applique to make it a little Eastery. So you can see it's quite a small little basket, perfect for little gifts and such. To make this basket, I'm going to be using a 6mm crochet hook as well as 3 strands of yarn held together. This will make it a little bit more sturdy of a basket. So let's take a look at the yarn that I'm going to be using for this tutorial. So the yarns that I'm using are just 2 bluish colors. You can kind of see them there, and they're just 4-weight acrylic yarn. And the third one, I'm going to mix in this Ferris wheels yarn, and you can see it's kind of self-striping and variegated at the same time. It's super pretty. So when working this, we're going to create a magic ring, and you want to make sure you're grabbing all 3 of those strands and chain 1 right away to secure that ring. We're going to work 8 single crochets into that ring. You can tighten your ring. I always like to count and double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's my 8th one, and that is where I'm going to slip stitch. It could be a little bit tight. Yarn over and pull through all strands to create round 1. We're now going to work even increases. So right now we have 8 total stitches. We're going to work half double crochets. So we're going to chain 2, and I'm going to work a half double crochet right back into that same stitch that I joined. And sometimes these are hard to get into when you're working with 3 strands held together. You're going to yarn over and pull back through everything for a half double crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to work 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. So you're increasing. Instead of 8, we'll have 16 at the end of round 2. So you want 2 half double crochets into every stitch. At the end, you'll have this false stitch right here. You can always count to make sure. I only have 15 because that chain 2 I am not counting as a stitch. So it's not actually, I'm not going to count that second chain that I did as a stitch. I have this false stitch. I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet into it to give me my 16 total. I'm going to skip that chain 2 and just join with a slip stitch into the first half double crochet that we did. And now you should have 16 total stitches all the way around. For round 3, we're going to chain 2. I'm going to work a half double crochet right back into that same stitch. We're going to work 2 half double crochets into the next. One half double crochet into the next. Two into the next. So the pattern is 2, 1. So I've got my 2, the next one I'm just going to work 1 half double crochet into the next 2, and so on. And at the end of round 3 you should have 24, we're always increasing by 8, 24 stitches at the end of round 3. I have worked all around. I have 24 total stitches, so I'm going to slip stitch to that first stitch that we did to join. 24 for round 3. For round 4, we're going to increase by 8 again, evenly all the way around. We're going to start with a chain 2. At the end of this round, you'll have 32. I'm going to work a half double crochet into the same stitch that I chained out of. One half double crochet into the next, 2 into the next, a single crochet into the next 2. So our pattern is 1 1 2 1 1 2. So we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and now we're going to work 2 double crochets into the next, and you're going to work this pattern all the way around, and at the end you should have 32 total stitches. I have counted, I have 32. I can go ahead and slip stitch into that first half double crochet that we did. You may notice you get some curling. That's perfectly normal. It'll straighten out. 4, round 5. This is our last increase round. We're going to chain 2, half double crochet into the same, we're going to work a half double crochet into those next 2 stitches. Into the next, we're going to work 2 half double crochets into the same stitch. Into the next 3, we're going to work 1 half double crochet. So this pattern is 3 and then 2. So you work a half double crochet, 1 half double crochet into the next 3, and then into the next you work 2. You can also think of it as 1 1 1 2, however you want to think of it. I just worked my 2 into the last, so I'm going to work a half double crochet into the next 3, and into the next I'll work 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. At the end of row 5, you will have 40 total stitches. I've counted, and I always count before I slip stitch, just in case I'm a stitch short. I can use that false stitch that I have right here. I do have 40 total stitches, so I can go ahead and slip stitch to join in that first stitch that we made, and there is our base. Now if you wanted to make this base a little bit bigger, you can go ahead and do that. You would just need to increase by 8 evenly all around. So your next round would have to have 48 stitches, the next round 56, and so on. We are done increasing, so we can move on to building up the basket. Now this basket is done in a moss stitch, which I really like, especially working with those 3 strands held together and creating this sturdy basket, because we're going to be working into those chain 1 spaces that you create as you're working the moss stitch. So it's a little bit easier than working into actual stitches. And for the building of the basket going up, we are not going to be joining at the end of each round. So once you get this first establishing round done, you just keep working that moss stitch around and around until you get that height that you want. So we're going to chain 1, and I'm going to work a single crochet right back into that same stitch. I'm going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and work a single crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip the next, work a single crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next, and you're going to keep doing this all the way around. Now as I'm back around, I've worked that pattern all the way around. I've chained 1, I'm going to skip. You can see we have 2 stitches there. Skip that one, single crochet into the next. Instead of joining, I'm just going to chain 1 and find that chain 1 space. And I want to work into that space. And I want to work a single crochet into that space. Chain 1, find the next space, and these are a little bit tight because you're working 3 strands. Work a single crochet into the next space, chain 1, find that next space, single crochet, chain 1, next space, single crochet, chain 1. And that will create a nice moss stitch. At this point, I like to fold my basket right side out. So there's the outside of my basket, that's the inside. Sometimes I like to go ahead and weave these in so they're not so difficult at the end once my basket has grown. So you can go ahead and do that as well. Work this moss stitch around and around and around until you get the height that you want. For this basket, I worked 8 rows all the way around, and you can just count them by counting those alternating single crochets. So I have 8 rows of moss stitch plus my base rows down here. So I'm going to keep on keeping on with this moss stitch, and I will meet you at the end of my 8th round. I'm finishing up with my 8th row. If you didn't put a stitch marker in, forgot to mention this earlier, it is helpful to put a stitch marker in that first stitch where you start the moss stitch to grow your basket. If you did not, an easy way to tell is you'll have this little sort of jog right here where we were joining the rounds for our base. So approximately right here you can kind of judge that. It really doesn't matter. You just kind of want to finish up those sides. You can also count your stitches and you'll kind of get an idea where that start was. Alright, so I'm pretty close to where that beginning was. I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into that next space just to kind of complete that round. Now we need to put a handle on our basket. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to work right back in that same space, a single crochet. I'm going to work into the next stitch. So we're working in stitches now. Single crochet, a single crochet in the next stitch, and these can be a little bit tight since we were working the moss stitch. So I have 1, 2, 3 single crochets. Going to work in a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more to make 5. Chain 1, turn, and we're going to be turning, and we're going to work a single crochet in back into those next 5, and this will start growing our handle. So just 1 single crochet back across, and into that very first one, like that. So you can see now we're creating that handle right on that base of our, or the side of our basket. Every row starts with a chain 1 and turn, and a single crochet right back into that same stitch, and a single crochet into the next 4, just like that. And you're just going to keep doing that for as long as you want your handle to be for your basket. The handle that I made for this basket is 30 total rows, and I will put the measurements and all of the pattern details in the description box down below, so check that out if you're interested in the exact measurements of these baskets using 4-weight yarn and a 6mm crochet hook. I have created my basket handle, 30 total rows of single crochet back and forth, and now we've got this nice handle. What you want to do now, and I've already cut my yarn and left a really long tail, you want to match it up as close as you can. You can count stitches if you want, if you're very particular, or you can just sort of guesstimate. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my hook. Now if you want to slip stitch to join, it's however you typically join projects together like this. If you have a preferred method, go ahead and do that. I am just going to sew this end onto the other side. I have my needle and I'm using all 3 strands. And I should also mention that if you want a longer or shorter handle, you can customize this handle as much as you want. Just note that a longer handle tends to be less sturdy, so I'm just going to guesstimate where to start sewing. And I'm going to start from the inside and just go under a stitch and pull through. And I'm going to come up on my basket handle, and I'm just going to kind of do this back and forth. I want it to be very tight, so you want a long ends so you can kind of weave it in back and forth as you feel it needs it. Going to flip it so I can see that inside. It looks good. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to go back and forth at least one more time just to make sure it's sturdy. I can weave these in at the end. I have made my little bunny applique in blue, which I will sew on. If you're interested in making this bunny applique for the basket, I will link that tutorial down below in the description box, so check that out. These are really cute for appliques and to string up into an Easter inspired garland. And now I've got 2 really cute little Easter baskets. You can obviously make these for not just Easter, but really anything, and use different appliques. I love these as little Easter baskets for little kids or really anybody that you need just a little something. If you're hosting dinner and you want everybody to have a little something, these are perfect mini baskets for that. They work up really quick, and it's a fun and easy way to use up some of your variegated yarns or just play with 3 different color strands held together to get a very fun and interesting and unique pattern. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye!